I'm Wenonah Hauter. I'm Executive Director of Food and Water Action.
And how do you feel about the turnout today?
I'm thrilled. I think it was a large group. I would say at least 500 people. Felt really good about it. You know, this is really destroying a lot of people's lives. So you know that people are getting active when you get this many people out in a fairly small town like Westchester.
Yeah. It is interesting because, I would say 10, 15 years ago, these issues, and I'm sure Food and Water Watch, you might have noticed this,
Yeah.
that it wasn't possibly not only as big an issue, but also not a bipartisan issue
Yes.
that it's become. Can you speak to that a little
Yeah,
bit?
absolutely. And, well, first of all, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, even 6 years ago, you couldn't get a big crowd like this out. It was, at that time, largely people of one political persuasion. Now that we see people being impacted in communities across Pennsylvania, but really across the nation, pressure is being put on elected officials to actually look after their constituents. And it's not just in Pennsylvania. We've seen this in Florida, where we're working to ban fracking. And the legislators in the state legislature have been Republicans because, of course, they control both houses of the legislature, and they are being influenced by their constituents. So I think it's very hopeful, and we need more of this activity.
After the XL pipeline was ended, and I'm putting in quotes, there was a big victory cry, and kind of a lot of us that had been talking about pipeline issues for before and after and other pipelines were screaming at the top of our lungs going, wait a minute, there's other pipelines. Have you seen a now that Trump is president, have you seen a resurgence of people caring and noticing? Or?
Well, I think there have always been people who cared in the communities that are being impacted by pipelines. I think that sometimes, especially in the national media, we see a lot of discussion about a big pipeline like that. I think there are more people every day getting interested in fighting pipelines, and especially since it's so clear that the oil and gas industry have a scheme to really crisscross the nation with more pipelines to create a market for fracked gas and natural gas liquids.
Now, there's a lot of communities that haven't been affected by a pipeline issue yet, and I always emphasize yet. What would you say to get those people? Because it's always, well, people don't start caring about it until it's literally either under their backyard, through their children's playground, or I come from upstate New York, fracking, like people actually cared about it.
Right.
Oh my God, we have well water. How do you get people motivated, or how do you get people to kind of come out, even if it's not come to their neighborhood yet?
Well, I think first of all we have to give people hope that we can actually do something, which I think we can. And even though the immediate impacts of pipelines and fracking are in the communities where it's happening, the whole plot around finding a market for the glut of natural gas and oil, for that matter, is affecting the entire environment through climate change. There's no way that we can address the impact on our global climate if we keep producing more oil and gas. The methane, we really need to do a lot more education because a lot of people don't realize that in the first 20 years after it's emitted that methane is a bigger greenhouse gas and more dangerous. It's almost 90 times more potent than carbon during the first couple of decades after it's emitted, and because we have to take immediate action. And then, there's the plastic, and plastic is impacting us on so many different levels. We know what's happening in the ocean with the creatures that live in the ocean that are ingesting plastic, but there's new research that shows that sea salt, many people have sea salt in their diet. Sea salt is almost all contaminated by plastic. Plastic leaches a lot of chemicals, and this boom finding new ways to use plastic is impacting people. So in answer to your question, I think it's a lot of education, and people first get involved because it's in the interest of their health, their family's health, their own lives, and we have to make these explanations.